Hello Leo, welcome to your reading. My name is Maria and this is a tarot-intuitive story for you if you have Leo dominantly anywhere in your chart, if you're a cross-watcher, or something else drew you here. For me personally, when I resonate with a reader, I actually resonate with all of their readings, no matter the zodiac signs, just because it's, I guess, a frequency or a vibe. So if you feel like you've resonated with other of my readings, you might resonate with this. So, your reading starts with the jeweled web from the Shaman's Dream Oracle. This is talking about you trying to connect or reconnect with something or somebody. And also of you having been in or being in a really weird experience. This comes out as other state of being, sort of like a twilight zone or some weird, like a deja vu or a some state of being that is out of the ordinary, that is not a normal state of being at all. You've had an experience, or you might still be going through an experience that's really hard to navigate because it's sort of it's just on another frequency than normal, and it could be anything that it could also be. I mean, it could be, you could be on the web. This one comes out as the web, going into some weird dark rooms where you don't really completely know what's going on. But it could also be a very emotional experience, very spiritual, mental confusion or fog. But you've been trying to work out what it is that's going on in this sort of little bit of a dark, mysterious reality that you've been in, and sort of trying to find out what's real, what has worth, what doesn't. And what that really is about is it comes out with the snake, is a healing ultimately, but before the healing, some energy that is not necessarily completely a good feeling or that has your best interests at heart is sort of a little bit a part of this picture. Because the snake, as you probably know, is demonized in many cultures, but also considered to be sacred. For example, in sort of Western Christian culture, the snake is, instigator of the fall of man, but also, I mean, in medicine, the snake is the healer that sort of spins around the cane, and so it is a difficult energy because it's uncomfortable, and it's also maybe not easy to figure out, and some of it is not, and doesn't have, maybe good intentions, but ultimately it's leading to healing, and it's also leading to a blooming of you coming out, Leo, as a card that's just, if you look at the imagery, that's very much like you shining what you should be, sort of the star or starlet that shines in the limelight and is comfortable and safe there, because you've been in something other than the limelight. You've been actually kind of in some sort of, I guess, darkness, or in some could have been a dodgy area of the internet where you kind of got lost a little bit. But it actually, it serves a purpose, because it's trying to point towards something and also to heal it in the same instance. So this card comes out a little bit Egyptian to me. Sorry about touching my nose. My nose always runs when I start doing readings. If you see these bottom figures, they come out a little bit Egyptian in their dress and headdress and the colors and the landscape and all of it. And it's followed up by this card, the Many Masks, that looks to me today like a mummy. And I was just, I was seeing the other day, I'm gonna go on a bit of a rant. I've recently discovered Philomena Kunk. If you know her, she's a British comedian, and I just went on a binge, and it was a riot and also weirdly educational. So there's one of these videos, you can find it as a short on YouTube, where she's interviewing an Egyptologist who's talking about how mummies are created. And it's a little bit graphic, so if you don't want to hear it, just fast forward 15 seconds. What they did with the dead bodies, they cut them up in the middle, and then they took out everything that they thought would rot and wasn't important, including the brain that wasn't considered to be important at all. But they left the heart in, because the heart was in their understanding the organ of personality and rationality and thinking. And it was important that it was left in, because to be recognized by the gods when you got to the other side. And the reason why they did it, the reason why they mummified the dead, was because it was considered to be a path to divinity. And this story comes out because that is actually the path that you've been on, the path of divinity, a journey on your way to divinity. And it might have been quite rough, because what they did to the body was kind of rough. And also they then put them in salt, which was considered also kind of a detoxing. And then they bandaged that person, and that kind of gave them that person divinity and immortality. And in some metaphorical way, it comes out like that's been happening to you. You've been going through a healing process that has actually been about making you divine and immortal. Certainly it has upgraded you in some way that is then bringing you into a new sort of power, and is awakening you in a way that you haven't been awoken before, because you then come out as the horse. And this one really comes out today as a dark horse, because it's sort of like maybe you were maybe others thought, oh, this one is lost. They're lost in the darkness. You were kind of taken out of some area, or taken out in some way, and it's like the others were like, oh, she's, that's over. This one is not making a comeback. But you very clearly are. Not only are you making a comeback, you're coming back as something incredibly unexpected, something that has the potential to change everything about whatever arena we're talking about here. Could be very much comes out of sort of life purpose, career, but it could also be love or community. You'll probably know, but you having gone through this not very easy process brings you out on the other side as a dark horse that really has the potential to shift whatever game we're talking about completely. And there then is sort of a union between this dark horse and a white horse. And I think this is talking about either you joining forces with somebody else, or what you already were being enhanced by what you now are, and then that multiplying quite a bit, because you see all of these horses down here that are pulling this one forward with the chariot, which is a very forward movement, powerful momentum card. These two horses join forces. What you've become, and maybe what you already were, something a little more soft and watery, gentle, but still powerful. Or with somebody else, and then that becoming an incredible movement, and these two becoming many more horses than they were. You come out with more horsepower than you've ever had. You join with this one, and then it's just galloping, forward in a way that probably you've never experienced before, and a lot of people around you also haven't seen anybody do. And it looks like it's going to be a real game changer. So there's a history to this. Comes out with the Feast of Plenty, and the story it comes out with is that you at an earlier point had a sort of an idea or a sense of your potential in some area, I think career, purpose, And it's like it was not realized because something sabotaged you. And the reason why I say that is because there's a traditional card called the Three of Swords in the tarot, where you see a heart with three swords stabbed into it, sort of a heartbreak, a betrayal card, sorrow. And it reminds me of it because there are like two swords and an ice pick, I guess. So it's like somebody sabotaged your destiny or something, or three old pains or something was sort of, because this one comes out as future because of the crystal ball kind of energy. And so that potential was tarnished. I mean, to you felt like it was tarnished. You felt like, no, but the crystal ball shouldn't have swords in it. I shouldn't have to fight to get to my own destiny, or I shouldn't have to move through this kind of resistance or malignant energy in order to just be who I was meant to be. I see you like, no, I'm gonna be a firefly then. If this has to be in this way, and people are like really doing their best to try to make sure that I don't get to what I thought I was meant to be here for, then that's probably also meant to be, and I'm not gonna fight it. I see you kind of zoning out or seeking answers elsewhere, or just being like, I'm gonna go on a spiritual path, or I'm gonna go into some dream world, or I'm going to be creative by myself. I just see you doing something where you feel, where you're not in competition, because you don't want to be in competition, and you don't want to be stabbed, and you don't want this whole drama thing playing out. Like, you're just not in the mood for it, or you don't have the strength, or you at least earlier you've been like, no, that's not what life should be about, and that's not what I want to do. So you've been kind of doing something else. It looks very beautiful, very magical, but spirit comes in and says, this is beautiful, it's cute, it's magical, you could do it for a little while, but we really want to bring you back on track to something more glorious, something bigger, something that you're ready for now. Because this comes out as spirit sort of sending words of love to you, kind of soothing you, want to, like, maybe that bandage is coming on, and it's really speaking words of love. This could also be somebody else who comes in to soothe you, to love you up, to strengthen you through love, and sort of build you up again, because this was painful. This is something painful you went through. Like, you felt like your future or your potential was tarnished, and you didn't want to compete with others just to be you. But you're being sort of healed or loved in that situation. And then you kind of start maybe reviving your ideas about that destiny again. Because if you can see, these two cards are sort of aligned, and you come out with the sky writing, speaking about you could be sort of writing or journaling. There's something about the writing or language, something about language that is helping you to sort of, maybe you're going through to, you could also be going in therapy, and the excuse me, the conversations you're having in therapy are sort of taking you out of a mind fog, are clearing up things for you, so you start understanding, oh, excuse me, that this thing is that thing, and this is that, and it's sort of like your future starts stepping back out of the shadows, out of the darkness, and then you reawaken in curiosity. So this is a great energy for you, because first of all, it's a cat, so it's very Leo, but it's also, it's like there's been sort of this darkness and maybe this harshness because of this. Well, actually, most of the cards have kind of a harshness to them until this starts happening, especially this, the love, the whispers of love from spirit or somebody else. But then because of you starting to see a glimpse of that future again and starting to realize, oh, maybe I can still be that. Maybe that potential is still possible for me in a way where I don't have to like sword fight with others in order to get there. And so for some reason, your curiosity is awakened. And it's a great energy because curiosity is a great energy. It's very sort of dynamic. It leads you into places and it moves you. It gives you sort of a motivation, not to be like, it doesn't come out like, I'm going to fulfill my potential, because that's also a really, really big ask. So maybe that in itself was kind of a harsh ambition also for yourself to have. So the cat comes out and is more like, what's this? What's that? And starts kind of a little curiously investigate into some things. And that investigation of yours is sort of leading you to explore something that gives you answers. And it's almost like looking at, it's almost like this, because it comes out like it has a very literal message, this card. I'm not completely sure what the literal message is, but it could be something like, maybe you know somebody that looks like this, and they sort of give you an information. Or here's somebody sitting cross-legged, it looks like going into a yoga session and then having an aha moment arriving at the yoga session, and just as you sit there waiting for the session to start, you have an aha moment. Or this olive branch, maybe there's something there. This, you asking questions and being curious about something that you might not even know yet has something to do with your future, is gonna clear up some confusion or cognitive dissonance that you've been carrying for quite a while, maybe because of somebody sabotaging you at an earlier date, and that sort of messing with your identity or messing with your understanding of yourself or life. And so now that your curiosity is being awakened, you're starting to clear something up. And you're diving into this, I don't know how long, but you come out with a deep diving into a task that's about you deciding, I'm gonna try to find out what this actually is, because it's like something is calling you. Something somewhere is saying, hey, come this way. It's like there was a Taurus reading. Last Taurus reading was talking about somebody investigating something and finding an answer, and it's a little bit like that. Like you feel like there's something that is not cleared up, and you keep kind of asking the next question, and then the next question, and then the next, and sort of diving into finding out what it is. And in that research, you find the potential for your future. Because if you see this pearl is really coming out as this, that was at an earlier point, sort of a future, that future turns out to be in your questions about whatever it is that has been sort of irking your curiosity. And there's maybe something is about this card, a color or something that is, something very concrete that makes you want to investigate. Could also be, this one has a tendency to come out as cognitive dissonance. So there's maybe something, just that doesn't fit, and you want to find out what it is, things that are not fitting together. And so you suddenly come up with an answer from the depth, like plunging into the depth and coming up with the pearl as a dragon, as something much more fiery. It's it's like an aha moment that beats all aha moments. And what it's about is that you realize I can still have that future. That is completely in my hands. And what you have been doing, or what Spirit has been doing to you, this sort of healing you and taking you to a path of divinity, has actually been pulling these swords and this ice pick out of your future. And not only doing that, but actually making that future into something that you can hold in your hand. Because you had, at an earlier point, an idea that this was a great potential that you would be able to realize. And it felt like somebody else was putting spokes in your wheel. And that was, to an extent, true. But really, upon further inspection, this potential was not that easily realized. Because it's kind of like, how would you actually get to this? Because it's sort of like on top of a tree, and the whole thing is a little weird. So what you're now realizing is that you thought that this was gonna make you, maybe make you happy, or this was gonna be sort of the end all of your destiny. But because of it having been kept away from you, and you going on this other journey where you actually start creating it yourself from sort of another starting point, you're now realizing that actually that potential, I can realize it now. It's in my hands, but it's not the alpha omega of everything, because no one thing is actually gonna make me happy. I can fulfill this myself, but it's not gonna be this glorious big thing that's gonna fix everything like I used to think that it was. That was actually kind of an illusion, but I can fully do it. I can fully, completely do it. And not only can I do it, and I will, but I can do many things like this. It's sort of your awakening into your own ability and power to create your future and to manifest. And I mean, it kind of looks like you have infinity to do it if you want it, because you've become immortal or divine in some way through what you've been doing. But now you're realizing, whatever I manifest, whatever I create in the outer world, whatever pearl I find, or mastery I develop, it's still gonna be not like the end all perfect thing that makes me happy, because like really nothing does in that way. It's really about me being the one who's able to do this, and to follow sort of my curiosity and my creativity, and becoming masterful in whatever it is that I want to become masterful in. Looks like many things if you want to. And that's actually what you're able to do now. And as it turns out, nobody really truly put a spoke in your wheel. Actually, on the contrary, that resistance made you into a very, very powerful being. And it reminded me of something I read a long time ago in sort of a business type, kind of fulfilling your potential type book. It was talking about the most important thing to, in an order to build your career, the most important thing you can do is to become somebody who is good at building. It's not about building that one thing. It's not about earning money. It's about your earning capacity. Because if you can only build one thing, then you can build that one thing. And if it falls, you fall. But if you build yourself as somebody who's very good at creating things, if something doesn't interest you anymore or it falls, you'll build, 10 new things. Like, you'll just keep on going, because you are now an unstoppable force. And it's not about the one thing. You might have thought it was about the one thing. It's not. It's about the gloriousness that you've become and the powerful being that you've become. And nobody can stop you in this state. Like this, you'll just create the things you want. Also knowing that any one thing of those are not your full destiny or your full happiness. It's just something that you're now also able to do in a very powerful way. So I hope this resonated. I hope it I hope it was kind of coherent. And so, yeah, and please let me know if it did resonate. I would love to know. Thank you for being here, Leo. Yes, thank you for being here. And if you enjoyed it, please leave me a like or a subscription, comment. See you again soon. Bye.